Terra Australis Incognita. This was the 11th century term for a vast, unexplored territory. The scholars of the time advanced the hypothesis of an unknown continent in the southern hemisphere. According to them, this land would act as a counterweight to the continents of the north to prevent the Earth from tipping into the void and keep it spinning on its axis. It was not until the 17th century that explorers, then traders, landed on this island continent. And yet, since the dawn of time, this land with its many facets and its breathtaking landscapes has been inhabited. These are Australian Aborigines, one of humanity's oldest civilizations. And according to a legend, they arrived here by foot while Australia was still attached to Indonesia and not yet an island. These same people have been living on this same land for more than 40,000 years in perfect harmony with nature.
Our land, it's really like, it's all about culture too, and like ceremony and stuff. And we don't want to damage any of our land, because we like living like this. And we like collecting all the bush food, and you can feel the everything that's got in the earth.
In the 18th century, there were 350,000 Aborigines in Australia, divided among 250 tribes, and each tribe had its own language. Now there are still just about the same number of Aborigines, but the number of languages has dropped significantly. There are, however, still about 30 languages spoken, but they all share the same mythology. In the Aborigine tradition, these are called song lines or dream tracks. In each tribe, these traditions are transmitted in a language that no one else can understand, but they are essential. The Aborigines say it is the language of the animals. One song line will describe the course of a river and all the wildlife that lives there. Another will retrace the limits of a specific territory and the animals that inhabit it. Basically, the songlines retrace the history of Australia. This is how the wisdom and lore accumulated by the ancestors since the dawn of time are perpetuated. All these oral and pictorial traditions are ways of transmitting this information. There's no writing, but they are just as precise.
Country make us talk, and it's there alive. It's watching us. If we make one mistake, we get sick because old people's spirit are watching us, and if we can't do proper way by respecting the land, we get sick. Fall from rock or big ironwood tree, goes through our feet, and there's a lot of dangerous part. So respect the land, you'll survive. You'll come back safely.
Australia covers an area twice the size of the entire European Union, but with only 1/20th of the population. The average population density is 2 inhabitants per square kilometer, but even less in some places where the people live in total isolation. Getting around in this country is often quite an expedition.
Just on our way back to Mount Dare, which is at the top end of South Australia. We really are in the centre of Australia and on the western edge of the Simpson Desert. And this is just a sample of the great roads that we have around here. We're very isolated. 500k from Alice Springs, 1,300 kilometres from Adelaide. And Rock is a day's drive away, so we're sort of a long way from everywhere. We just get used to hundreds of kilometres when you drive.
Mount Dare Station, an unlikely settlement plopped down right on the edge of the Simpson Desert. It's one of those places where life makes a dogged stand. All around for 500 kilometers in any direction, there's nothing but sand and rocks. It looks like a scene out of Mad Max, but a lot less violent and a lot more laid back. Here in the middle of nowhere, but in the dead center of Australia, is where Dave has chosen to make his home along with his wife and children. He came here 7 years ago and took over a half-abandoned service station. Mount Dare Station is the only post for the brave souls venturing into the vast uninhabited and uninhabitable desert, where the temperature often gets up to 50 degrees Celsius. People never stay here long. They're just passing through.
Cooking breakfast one minute and then you're out fixing cars the next. Just then getting ready with the post, and some days can be flat out in here.
Dave is the only person you can count on if you get lost in this hostile environment. This spot does have the one natural resource that made it possible for Dave to settle here, a source of water. Everything else has to be brought in from the outside, and that means far away.
This is all the supplies we need to look after all the tourists that come through. And at this time of year, it's very busy, so as you can see, we've got quite a load on at the moment. Takes us about 7 hours in the truck. It's usually 2 nights in town. And then we get back here, unload it, rush off and go and do another job. You do have to plan well ahead, and if you forget something, well, it's weeks before you get it. And our vegetable supplier forgot our lettuces. No lettuces. That's it.
A round trip to the nearest store is a 1,000-kilometer expedition, half of it on god-awful tracks.
We don't really have a local trade. There are some cattle properties not too far away from here, but they're 70 kilometres nonetheless. That's over an hour's drive, so we don't often see the neighbours, and it's sometimes a special occasion when you do see them.
As for social life, aside from the passing travellers and the hired hand, Dave, his wife and children have only each other to talk to. And the kids can hardly invite friends over for their birthday parties. But the family has found a way of life that suits them just fine.
Here we go. My wife, Melissa, and my 2 little angels. We've got the eldest one, Charlotte, and the little girl, Crystal Ann. They love it. We've just come back from Alice Springs, where we've been to the Alice Springs show. So we've got the bubble machine and show bags and all sorts of stuff.
Ring Becky!
Just enrolled Charlotte. She's 3.5 for next year. She does kindergarten. It'll be correspondence through Alice Springs, and the year after that, then it will be over the internet, School of the Year. They can see their teacher through via the camera on the internet, and they can do music, they can do dancing, painting, anything they can learn is on the internet, and they've got a 99.9% attendance rate. So, and it's the biggest classroom in Australia.
Just closing your eyes.
It is throughout outback Queensland, Northern Territory, South Australia, Western Australia. So it is just huge.
Charlotte's class, which has about 50 pupils, is the biggest in the world. It extends over a territory almost the size of a continent.
We're going out to the airfield to go and meet the plane. The plane brings the mail in every Wednesday, and they take one of these, all their outgoing mail, and we collect our incoming mail.
My name's Reg, and I fly the mail plane for Chartier, based out of Alice Springs. It involves delivering mail to remote homesteads, communities around the centre of Australia. This company has the longest mail run in the world. There are mail runs that 3 hours flying in a straight line to get to the first stop.
Morning. Good. And I've been preoccupied and forgot to bring you a drink out, but you're quite welcome to come over to the pub and grab one if you want one.
No dramas, just the one?
Yeah, just the one, probably 2 kilos.
Yes, no dramas at all.
Everyone looks forward to mail day, and we'll sit around the table and divvy out all of the mail and work out who's been ordering the most things.
We have probably 9 mail runs on our books that go as far as West Australia, South Australia, and into northern Queensland. And it can take you all day, a good 8.5, 9 hours of flying to complete a mail run. And that's a pretty big day.
These postmen of the desert are the spiritual heirs of the early pioneering pilots. In spite of the long hours, the solitude, and the difficult conditions, they still nourish the dreams of many an Australian youth.
It's remote area flying. You're constantly over featureless terrain. It's pretty hard navigating out here. We rely on a GPS unit to get us from point A to point B. In the event that you do have an engine problem, we generally just pick a good place to put it down, and we've got supplies on board to last us at least 3 or 4 days, water and food, and we've got radios on board to attract the rescue crew if we need to. I'm quite fond of the red dirt, the Simpson Desert, the Tanami Desert. It's quite it's comforting. It's very interesting.
It takes a few hours of flying to go from the waves of red sand in the Simpson Desert to the turquoise waves of the Indian Ocean, where one discovers yet another totally uninhabited spot. It seems that the plane is the only way to travel in this country. The Buccaneer Archipelago is a myriad of islands that stretches over 1,000 kilometers. Only a few navigators venture into this liquid labyrinth. Otherwise, the only persons you'll find here are pearl farmers. The story begins off the coast, 300 kilometers south of the Buccaneer Islands. The divers first have to gather the wild oysters that will be used to grow the cultured pearls. Here, Tony Cook is getting ready for another dive.
We take a team of divers up to 48. Pats Bailey will take down the coast on up to half a dozen different motherships. We tow the divers, we call them drift divers, drift diving, we tow them along the bottom where their sole purpose of being down there is picking up the shell, the wild shell, and during the day the divers will spend up to 8 hours a day underwater using our devised tables to ensure that we have no decompression illness.
Not only do the divers have to find the oysters, but they also have to keep a sharp eye out for the many dangers. Sharks and deadly jellyfish, for example.
There is some big fish out here. We have had attacks in the past. Probably, as I remember in my time, we probably had about half a dozen attacks and a fatality in '93, which was a mate of mine who got taken. It's always in the back of your head, especially in dirty water when you're working zero visibility. I think it's like anything, once you've been doing it for so long, you just take it as part of your job.
Then the harvested oysters undergo a little operation, which consists of implanting a tiny bead of special limestone as a base for the oyster to secrete its nacre. From that moment on, the oysters are monitored, displaced, fixed in racks.
We describe it as being an underwater labourer. The work itself is strenuous. It's like pushing a wheelbarrow underwater. Imagine that. We're in 20 metres of water most of the time, which is 3 atmospheres of pressure. So you've got those extra pressures on your body while you're working. You're lifting and carrying things unnatural ways. Yeah, you do get worn out quite quick.
It's tedious work alone at the bottom of the sea, and one has to be in excellent physical shape to be able to operate in such conditions. In this maze of land and sea, we see a few scattered installations. These are the pearl oyster beds. After recovering from their operation, the oysters spend close to 2 years here. It's a breathtaking spot, and so isolated and remote that there's no pollution. The pearl harvest has just begun. The oysters are finally ready to reveal the fruit of 2 years' growth in the same shell. Each pearl is unique. The color, form, and size are never the same. It's the natural cradle of the Buccaneer Islands that favors the growth of this precious jewel. In the heart of the Simpson Desert, Dave Cox carries on his many activities. In this garage here in the middle of nowhere, far from the nearest road, there's always something to keep him busy.
This car's purpose is primarily to be a recovery vehicle. It goes out to do tows, pull people out of bogs, repairs, anything that needs doing around here. And I'm going to take my little girl away with me this time. Yeah, you going to stay in the swag?
Yes.
Ready for big trip? The kids really enjoy growing up out here. I just think it's a great environment for them. Charlotte really loves it. She loves camping. Really loves camping, sleeping in the swag and stuff, looking out at the stars through the open swag. Loves it.
4 hours on the road, and the landscape is still the same. Dave doesn't get tired of it. He chose to live here in the company of these huge sand dunes.
When you're out in the Simpson Desert, you've got 300 kilometres of sand dunes, no habitation for 500 kilometres between Mount Deer and Birdsville. And it's the vastness that is out here, it's just undescribable. It's really something that you have to see to feel, I think. It's God's own country, you know. It's the colours around here, the beautiful rich reds are just fabulous. I love it. 6.5 years I wouldn't be here if I didn't like it. It's hard work, no doubt, but yeah, it's a great environment. It's peaceful. I just think it's great. Yeah, we're going to camp just here, Charlotte. And to get... there you go. Get the camping stuff out now? Yeah. Yeah? Oh. We're at Pernie Bore, which is 65 kilometres to the east of Dalhousie Springs. And as the name depicts, Pernie Bore, it is a man-made bore that has been turned into a wetland. They were looking for oil and yeah, all that came out of the ground was near boiling water. So they said, don't need this, and off they went, leaving it flowing at, you know, so many thousands of litres a second. You know, it was just amazing the water that was coming out. It would have filled these swales here before it was capped and restricted in its flow to just keep it to a moderate flow to maintain the wildlife that had become dependent on it. To raise kids out here has been a great privilege. Just this morning, Charlotte gets out of bed and says, come on, Dad, let's go and find some camels. You know, how many other kids are going to get out of bed and say that in the morning? This is Australia's largest sand pit. She plays out here, you know, like any other kid plays in their backyard, but I just think the scenery around here is just a little bit more special than the average backyard.
Oh, okay. The mom says I'm losing, Dad.
Kiss.
Oh, Dad, you know the sand pit.
Yeah, it's a big sand pit, isn't it? Can you see how they happen, all these little waves?
Yeah.
Right? They're pretty, aren't they? That's the wind that makes those. And the wind makes one little wave like this, right? And then eventually, this little wave will be as big as this sand dune. Because all these big sand dunes start off as little waves.
Star's gone.
Where's the stars gone?
Died in the sky.
Oh, okay. And where's the moon? The moon's still over there, is it? What's that? Oh, righto.
Inside the circle, a fire. It's really hot. Hey, look, a spider. He's looking for his mum. He can't find her anywhere. I nearly touched him. He might hurt. Spider, just keep going to your mum.